Now, on to other stories. Police watchdog, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, or IPID, is accused of prematurely closing cases to manipulate performance statistics. An exposé by GroundUp and Viewfinder found that IPID completed 308 investigations in a single day, pointing out that the cases were prematurely closed to meet their case competition targets. This pattern adds weight to the 2014 whistleblower reports from the Northern Cape Provincial Office of the IPID that case completion was driven by the pressure to generate performance statistics and not by the natural progression and outcomes of individual investigations. IPID spokesperson Sontaga Seisa has conceded that they have monthly targets that they need to reach. We're having a very limited investigators, and that's what he said, and they have to go throughout the provinces. They travel for long hours and they go and do work for about 2 to 3 weeks in the field mostly. He also added that they have their monthly targets, one that has to ensure that you reach monthly targets. That's the reason that they need to have statistics on a monthly basis. Now, to speak more about this, we're joined by the senior researcher at the Crime and Justice Program at the Independent Institute for Security Studies, where they say that it's no surprise that the Independent Police Investigative Directorate had been closing cases prematurely to make up numbers for their targets. Dr. Johan Burger joins us now. Johan, a very good morning to you. This is quite shocking.
Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, we've been aware of the fact that IPID has been, because it's understaffed and under-budgeted, for that they have been less than dedicated to the responsibilities in terms of oversight of the police and investigating criminal cases against the police and so on. But what is really shocking is the scale of the problem, and also the fact that apparently from senior management, top management, right down to investigators, they were all part of this huge scheme to mislead Parliament and to allow police officers to escape responsibility and the consequences of the criminal acts. So largely the scale of the problem, I think, is what is most shocking about this recent revelations.
We are focusing on today's conversation on what we're saying is the tweaking of stats to make up for numbers. But have we found other reasons that they do this for? Especially, is there an element of corruption involved?
Sorry, you are completely disappearing. I can't hear. Could you please repeat the question?
Can you hear me now, Johan?
Yeah, this is better, yep.
Fantastic. I was saying that today we're focusing on the tweaking and manipulation of numbers, but have we uncovered other reasons that IPID does this for?
No, I don't think so. We know part of the problem is the reductions in the budget of IPID and the fact that they are understaffed, partly because of budgeting reasons, but also other problems. They are unable to adequately investigate the large number of complaints and the cases that they have to deal with. But there certainly are a number of allegations that there are other reasons as well, such as, on the one hand, police officers interfering with investigations, destroying evidence, unwilling to cooperate with investigators, and so forth. But then clearly there appears to be, and this must be investigated, there appears to be some sort of cooperation on the side of some investigators in terms of covering up on these cases. And this is why we are saying from the ISS side that what the minister needs to do, I've heard there are calls on Parliament's Portfolio Committee to further investigate, but I think the Minister of Police, who is the responsible minister as far as IPID is concerned, should appoint already, not wait for Parliament, should appoint an independent inquiry to investigate these allegations and to try and find out precisely what the reasons are, and even further, if there are evidence of criminal conduct by these IPID investigators. I mean, clearly there are huge possibilities of grand-scale fraud being committed by some of these investigators and also some of the managers involved who employed those figures. Secondly, at least there must be criminal charges of defeating the ends of justice. So we need to see urgent action, and the minister is the responsible political head in this instance. So for him to act and make certain that not only these reasons are properly uncovered, but that where people are found to have been involved in this cover-up and cheating, that they should be criminally charged. And those cases, I think, should be given to the Hawks, an independent, at least as far as IPID is concerned, body to investigate these possible criminal charges.
In the interim, does this result in members of the South African Police Services who've committed criminal activities walking off scot-free?
Yeah, and this is the shocking result of an IPID that clearly is not performing its legal mandate as far as civilian oversight over the police is concerned. They are not properly investigating cases. In fact, they admit, those who have shared the information, and Robert McBride, to some extent, also admitted to this during his testimony before the Zondo Commission. They admit that they have closed down cases where there may have been, or certainly were, a merit in the complaint, where they should have completed the investigation in a proper way to determine or to get hold of all the necessary evidence, statements and other evidence, and the case docket then should have been presented to the prosecuting authority, who should take a decision whether or not to prosecute. So clearly, thousands, literally thousands of police officers were allowed to walk away scot-free. They faced no consequences, and even worse than that, the fact that they were not held responsible or accountable for their criminal activities, they were left with almost a blanco check that they can continue with these kinds of things that they were doing, not having to face a realistic risk of ever being properly investigated by IPID.
Dr. Burger, thank you so much for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Police Union POPCRU says it is also surprised by the revelations that the Independent Police Investigative Directorate is accused of prematurely closing cases to manipulate performance statistics. To give us reaction on the matter, we're now joined on the line by POPCRU spokesperson Richard Mamabolo. And Dr. Mamabolo, a very good morning to you and thanks for making the time. What's your reaction to this revelation?
Look, I think we're quite shocked about these revelations. In fact, I think the role of IPID would be to ensure independent oversight. And, of course, we note the seriousness of these allegations, which have been happening over 7 years. We think that if there is any validity to this, it means that civilian oversight has been undermined, and the need for this oversight must be obviously in ensuring that we incorporate community voices in policing, which is something that we've been struggling to do since our democratic breakthrough. And of course, it then clearly demonstrates that there is suppression of, because the IPID is supposed to ensure that we suppress the abuse of power. We also generate accountability, and of course, it should obviously assist in reviving operations within policing and providing communities input with regards to investigation and procedures. If that is not happening, it means that the goal that we need to ensure, which is to obviously have good working relations with police, communities and police, is obviously going to fall away. And then I think the internal strife that has been happening generally within the criminal justice cluster has been one of the issues of concern. And of course, in dealing with that, you cannot resolve any matter within the criminal justice cluster without bringing about stability. So all these elements do play a factor in this challenge.
Some of these police officers who fall foul of the law are POP crew members. What systems have you got in place to engage with your members who commit crimes?
Look, the extent of manipulation, of course, would obviously, for example, what you would find in state manipulation would obviously create a false impression about what has been happening. That is part of our worries, because I think in the past years, the IPID has normally been focused on senior ranking officials. We obviously encourage our members on a regular basis that they should obviously not be part of this such activities which are obviously not in line with the law. And of course, our members understand fully well that their primary role is to ensure the safety of South Africans. So not all police can be painted with the same brush. And of course, if there are those wrong elements, we obviously believe that no one is above the law, and the law should apply in that instance. But as well, our main issue is that the manipulation of statistics, or rather when IPID addresses such cases in the manner that they are accused of doing, it then creates an impression to society, which is a main stakeholder in fighting crime, to say that whatever cases they report against police, nothing gets done about it. That then creates a bad vibe between those two.
Of course, statistics that come out from IPID also impact on your own research or data or the statistics that you keep. How are you going to engage with IPID about this particular incident?
Sorry, I'm struggling to hear you.
I was saying that, of course, the numbers or the data that comes out of IPID impact your work as well. How are you going to be engaging with IPID about this particular incident?
Look, most worrying is that I think if you look at the regulations for IPID, is that immediately when a case happens, they've got a 24-hour time frame to obviously have it filed. Now, if it's only done on a month-end basis, obviously the quality of work that would have been go into that would not be a true reflection. So we will definitely be engaging with the IPID. We'll definitely be engaging as well with the minister. We've got our National Congress coming up in the next month. So we obviously would want to look at the extent of the problem as it seems to be entrenched, and obviously in ensuring that other aspects such as being under-resourced, the budgetary constraints are dealt with, in ensuring that there is sufficient manpower, in ensuring that all cases are dealt with within appropriate time frames.
Thanks for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Richard Mamabolo is the POP crew spokesperson.